Why does your iPhone have a better retirement plan than you do? Think about that. Apple knows exactly when your phone will die. They engineered the death date into the circuit board before you ever touch the box. They've calculated the battery cycles, the software updates that'll slow it down, the moment when the new model makes yours feel ancient. Your phone's obsolescence is planned, funded, and executed with more precision than your actual retirement. And that's not an accident. That's the blueprint. There's a document that changed everything. You've never seen it. Most people haven't. It's buried in corporate archives, written in 1924 by a cartel of men who figured out how to make infinity profitable. They discovered that the problem with making perfect products was that perfection killed business. So they made imperfection the business model. And we've been living inside their plan for 100 years. This is the story of how repair became a crime, how durability became the enemy, how the things you own stopped being yours, and why the richest companies in history make their money not from what they sell you, but from what they take away. Let me take you back to a winter morning in Geneva, Switzerland, 1924. There's a hotel conference room that smells like cigar smoke and ambition. Men in wool suits are gathering. Representatives from Osram, Philips, General Electric, Compagnie de Lampe, the titans of the light bulb industry. They're not here to innovate. They're here to sabotage their own products. See, these men have a problem that sounds like a blessing. Their engineers are too good. The light bulbs coming out of factories are lasting 2,500 hours, sometimes more. Some experimental models are pushing 5,000 hours. From a technical standpoint, this is triumph. From a capitalism standpoint, this is disaster. Imagine you're one of these executives. You just sold someone a light bulb that'll last them 5 years, maybe more. That customer walks out of the store and disappears from your revenue stream for half a decade. Your factory keeps running, but nobody's buying. Your workers sit idle. Your investors start circling like sharks smelling blood in the water. You've got warehouses full of inventory and a customer base that's satisfied. In the brutal arithmetic of industrial capitalism, satisfaction is bankruptcy in slow motion. So these men create something called the Phoebus Cartel. The name sounds almost mystical, doesn't it? Like something from ancient mythology. But there's nothing mythical about what they did. They formed an international conspiracy to make worse products. They established a standard. 1,000 hours. That's it. Any manufacturer whose bulbs lasted significantly longer would face fines, penalties, consequences. They didn't just shake hands on this. They built infrastructure, technical committees, testing facilities, international agreements with the legal weight of treaties. They created an entire parallel bureaucracy whose sole purpose was ensuring that light bulbs failed right on schedule. Not too early, that would anger customers. Not too late, that would anger shareholders. Just right. Like Goldilocks, but for corporate profits. The engineers must have hated this. Can you imagine? You spend years learning physics, studying materials, perfecting your craft. You figure out how to make a filament that can burn bright for thousands of hours. And then some executive in a suit tells you to make it worse, tells you that your success is their failure. That durability is the enemy. That your job is no longer to build the best product, but to build the product that fails at precisely the calculated moment. This wasn't some rogue operation. This was documented, official. They kept meticulous records of their conspiracy because they didn't think they were doing anything wrong. To them, this was just good business, smart strategy, the invisible hand of the market, carefully placing a time bomb in every socket. The cartel lasted until World War II disrupted everything, but by then, the idea had metastasized. It had infected the entire industrial economy. Other industries looked at light bulbs and thought, we should do that too. And they did. Now jump forward to New York City. 1932. The Depression is devouring everything. Banks are failing. Factories are shutting down. Men in threadbare suits are selling apples on street corners for 5 cents. Bread lines stretch around city blocks. Children with hollow eyes and distended bellies. The American economy has fallen off a cliff and nobody knows how to climb back up. Enter Bernard London. He's a real estate broker in Manhattan. Not an economist, not a government official, just a guy who thinks he's figured out the solution. He writes a pamphlet. The title is Ending the Depression Through Planned Obsolescence. The premise is breathtaking in its cynicism. London proposes that the government assign legal lifespans to every product. Your coat, 3 years. Your furniture, 10 years. Your car, 5 years. When that time expires, the product is legally dead. You cannot use it. You cannot sell it. You cannot repair it. You must throw it away and buy new. Failure to comply would be a criminal offense. The government would essentially mandate waste, force consumption at gunpoint. Think about what that means. A federal agent knocking on your door, inspecting your closet, pointing at your jacket. That's 4 years old. It's contraband now. Destroy it. Your shoes, your dishes, your bed, everything you own on a countdown timer enforced by law. It's dystopian, Orwellian, and London genuinely believed it would save America. His logic was simple. The Depression happened because people stopped buying. Factories closed because there was no demand. Create artificial demand by making ownership temporary. Make durability illegal. Keep the wheels of industry turning no matter what. Consumption as patriotic duty. Waste as economic policy. The proposal failed. Even in the desperate 1930s, even with people starving in the streets, the idea was too dark, too obvious. Too much like admitting that the entire economic system was a pyramid scheme that required infinite growth on a finite planet. Congress rejected it. The public ignored it. Bernard London faded into obscurity. But the idea didn't die. It just went underground. It stopped being policy and became practice. It moved from government mandate to corporate strategy, from law to design philosophy. The execution changed, but the mission remained the same. Make things that don't last. Ensure that satisfaction is temporary. Turn every purchase into the first payment on an endless subscription to replacement. Fast forward to 1954. Minneapolis. An advertising conference. The speaker is Brooks Stevens, an industrial designer. He's handsome, confident, the kind of man who sells vision. And he's about to give planned obsolescence its mission statement. He defines it like this: instilling in the buyer the desire to own something a little newer, a little better, a little sooner than is necessary. Read that again. Instilling desire, not meeting needs, creating wants where none existed. The key word is unnecessary. He's not talking about replacing broken things. He's talking about replacing working things, about making people feel inadequate for owning last year's model, about turning consumption into identity. This is psychology weaponized. Stevens understood something profound about the human mind. You don't need to break the product. You just need to break the customer's satisfaction with it. Make them feel behind, out of touch, embarrassing. Turn objects into social signals. Transform tools into status markers. Convince people that what they own says something about who they are. And it worked. God help us, it worked perfectly. Post-war America was the perfect laboratory. The Depression was over. The war was won. Factories that had been making tanks and bombers needed something to produce. Soldiers were coming home, getting married, buying houses, starting families. The economy was booming. But there was a fear underneath the prosperity, a terror that it could all collapse again. that we'd slide back into bread lines and shanty towns. So consumption became patriotic. Buying became civic duty. The economy was no longer about meeting needs. It was about creating needs, manufacturing desire. Your parents and grandparents were told, explicitly, that buying things was how you kept America strong, that saving was selfish, that frugality was un-American, that the good citizen was the consuming citizen. General Motors figured this out first. Harley Earl, their head of design, pioneered the annual model change. Every year, a new look, new tail fins, new chrome, new colors. The cars underneath were basically the same engine, same transmission, same chassis. But the body changed, and that change made last year's model look dated, old, embarrassing. You could be driving a perfectly functional car, engine purring, no mechanical problems whatsoever. But your neighbor just bought the new model and suddenly your car feels ancient. You feel ancient. You're driving around in obsolete steel, a mobile billboard advertising that you can't afford to keep up. The car works fine, but you feel broken. This was genius. Evil genius, but genius nonetheless. General Motors discovered you could make products obsolete without them actually failing. Psychological obsolescence. Fashion applied to machines. And every industry copied the playbook. Refrigerators got new color schemes. Washing machines got new control panels. Radios got new cabinet designs. Even houses started following fashion cycles. The kitchen that was modern in 1955 looked hopelessly dated by 1960. Not because it stopped working, because taste changed. Or rather, because taste was changed by designers, by advertisers, by corporations who needed you to never ever be satisfied. But some products couldn't be styled into obsolescence. A light bulb is a light bulb. A toaster is a toaster. Nobody cares what it looks like. They just need it to work. For those products, you needed actual engineering failure. Planned physical obsolescence. Components designed to fail right on schedule. Take nylon stockings. DuPont invented nylon in 1938. It was revolutionary. Stronger than silk. Elastic. Affordable. The first stockings were nearly indestructible. Women bought a pair and wore them for years. DuPont had created a miracle fiber, and then, quietly, they degraded it. They changed the formula, made the nylon thinner, more delicate, more prone to runs. They called it improving the hand, making it softer, more appealing. But the real reason was simple arithmetic. A stocking that lasts 5 years is only sold once. A stocking that runs after 20 wears is sold every month. Multiply that across millions of women, and you're talking about transforming a one-time purchase into a recurring revenue stream. This pattern repeats everywhere once you start looking. Printer ink cartridges with chips that report empty when they're still 30% full. Batteries glued into phones so you can't replace them. Software updates that slow down old devices. Appliances held together with custom screws that require proprietary tools. Tractors with computers that only authorized technicians can access. Every one of these decisions is made by a human being in a meeting room somewhere, calculating how to extract maximum money from minimum product. And then they made repair illegal. That's the final step. The coup de grace. It's not enough to make things that break. You have to prevent people from fixing them. You have to ensure that when something fails, the only option is replacement. John Deere is the perfect case study. Farmers, people who have been fixing their own equipment since humans invented agriculture. People who could rebuild an engine in a barn with hand tools and spare parts scavenged from a junkyard. Those people can no longer repair their own tractors. Modern tractors have computers, sophisticated diagnostic systems, And those systems are locked, encrypted, protected. The tractor collects data about every operation, how fast you're driving, how much fuel you're using, the moisture content of the soil. This data flows back to John Deere, and if something breaks, the tractor won't tell you what's wrong. It'll tell you to call an authorized service center. So you're a farmer in Iowa. It's harvest season. Time is literally money. Your crops are ready, the weather window is narrow, and your tractor breaks down. You know, it's probably something simple, a sensor, a connection, something you could fix in 20 minutes if you could just access the diagnostic system. But you can't. The computer won't let you. So you call John Deere. They tell you a technician can come out in 3 days. 3 days, while your crops rot in the field, while you lose tens of thousands of dollars. Because you don't own your tractor. You own a license to use a tractor that John Deere still controls. And this is legal, mandated by law. The Digital Millennium Copyright Act, passed in 1998, sold to the public as a way to prevent music and movie piracy, but it has a clause, a beautiful little clause for corporate lawyers. It says that circumventing digital locks is illegal, even on devices you own, even if you're just trying to fix them. So repair becomes a federal crime. You bought the tractor, you have the title, it sits in your barn, but if you bypass the software lock to fix it yourself, you're a criminal. You're violating copyright law. Never mind that it's your property. Never mind that you're not stealing anything. Never mind that farmers have fixed their own equipment for 10,000 years. The code is copyrighted. The access is restricted. Repair is theft. This is the culmination, the final form. The Phoebus cartel made bulbs that died too soon. General Motors made cars that looked too old. DuPont made stockings that ran too easily. And now, in the 21st century, the tech industry has perfected the model. They've made objects that you own but don't control. Products that serve two masters, you, the paying customer, and them, the permanent overseer. Your phone knows more about you than your spouse does. It knows where you go, who you talk to, what you buy, what you search for at 3 a.m. when you can't sleep. It knows your secrets, your fears, your desires, and all that data flows back to the manufacturer, to advertisers, to data brokers who sell your digital shadow to anyone with a checkbook. But you can't repair it. The battery is glued in. The screen is fused to the frame. The components are soldered. Even the screws are proprietary. Apple invented a new screw head, the pentalobe, specifically so you can't open your phone with normal tools. They engineered exclusivity into the fasteners. That's how deep this goes. They patented the shape of tiny screws to prevent you from accessing the device you paid for. When the battery dies, you have 3 choices. Pay Apple $200 for a replacement. Pay a third-party shop and void your warranty. Or buy a new phone for $800. Most people buy the new phone. That's not stupidity. That's economics. $200 to fix a 2-year-old phone or $800 for a new one with a better camera and faster processor? It feels like a deal, an upgrade, progress. But you didn't need a new phone. The old one worked fine except for the battery, a component that costs maybe $20 and could be replaced in 5 minutes if the phone was designed for repair. Instead, you spent $800. And Apple made the profit, and your old phone went into a drawer or a landfill. Or, if we're being honest about the global supply chain, it went to Ghana, to India, to Pakistan, to informal recycling facilities where people, often children, burn plastic off circuit boards to extract tiny amounts of precious metals. They inhale toxic fumes. They work without gloves or masks. The groundwater around these facilities is poisoned. The air is carcinogenic. People develop respiratory illnesses, cancers, birth defects in their children. All so someone can recover maybe $5 worth of gold and copper from an $800 phone. That's the real cost. That's where your upgrade goes. Into the lungs of a 12-year-old in Accra, burning plastic over an open flame. That's what planned obsolescence looks like at the other end of the supply chain. That's the price of progress. We generate 50 million tons of electronic waste every year. 50 million tons. Most of it could be repaired. Almost none of it is, because new is cheaper than repair. Or appears cheaper until you add up the real costs. The lithium mines in Chile, where indigenous communities are driven from their land so we can have rechargeable batteries. The cobalt mines in Congo, where children work in hand-dug pits for $1 a day. The factory workers in Shenzhen living in dormitories, working 16-hour shifts, installing cameras and phones that will be obsolete before the worker pays off their company debt. This is the system. This is the machine. And it runs on your compliance, your exhaustion, your acceptance that this is just how things are now, that everything is disposable, that repair is impossible, that durability is a relic of a bygone era when things were simpler and people had more time. But that's a lie. Things aren't more complicated. They're deliberately obscured. You can't repair your phone not because it's too advanced, but because it's designed to be unrepairable. The complexity is artificial. The mystery is manufactured. Behind every sealed case and proprietary screw is a choice someone made, an engineer who was told to make it difficult, a product manager who calculated that preventing repair would increase replacement sales by 15%. Your washing machine doesn't need a computer chip. It's a drum, a motor, a timer, and some water. That's it. That's all a washing machine has ever been. But modern washing machines have chips, circuit boards, diagnostic systems. Why? Not because it washes your clothes better, because it generates data. Because it enables what they call the Internet of Things, which is really just the Internet of Surveillance. Because when it breaks, you need an authorized repair person with proprietary software to fix it. Furniture is made of particle board that disintegrates after 5 years instead of solid wood that lasts a century. Clothes are made of synthetic fibers that pill and tear instead of cotton and wool that age gracefully. Even food is designed for obsolescence. Produce bread for shelf life and appearance instead of nutrition and taste. Tomatoes that look perfect and taste like wet cardboard. Apples that could survive a nuclear winter but have no flavor. Milk with expiration dates calculated by marketing departments rather than actual spoilage. Everything you own is on a timer, and somewhere in a database, an algorithm knows exactly when you'll be ready to buy again. They've calculated your replacement cycle. They know that phones last 2 years, laptops last 3, televisions last 5. They know because they engineered those lifespans. They built the death clock into the product. And they've studied your psychology. They know you feel embarrassed using old technology. They know you associate newness with status. They know you're working 60 hours a week and don't have time to repair things. It's a perfect trap. You work to buy. The thing breaks. You work more to replace it. The replacement breaks. The cycle continues. You're not living. You're servicing debt, maintaining possessions, running on a treadmill that keeps accelerating, and you can't get off because everyone else is running too, and if you stop, you'll fall behind. But here's what they don't want you to know. You can stop right now, today. The treadmill only has power if you stay on it. There's a man in Vermont driving a 1982 Volvo with 400,000 miles on it. He's replaced the engine once, the transmission twice, various other parts over 40 years. He knows that car intimately, every sound it makes, every quirk, every idiosyncrasy. It's not just transportation. It's a relationship. a history. And it's still cheaper than buying a new car every 5 years and paying the insurance and the interest and the depreciation. There's a woman in Portland who repairs her own clothes. She has a sewing machine older than she is. All metal. No plastic. No computer chip. It sews a straight line. That's all it needs to do. When her jeans tear, she patches them. When a seam splits, she re-sews it. Her clothes don't look like they came off a mannequin. They look lived in, authentic, real. There are repair cafes forming in cities worldwide. Volunteers helping people fix broken items. Right to repair movements, lobbying for laws that force manufacturers to provide parts and documentation. YouTube channels with millions of subscribers teaching people how to fix everything from smartphones to refrigerators. This is happening right now. The resistance is real. Because repair is rebellion. Every time you fix something instead of replacing it, you're voting against the system. You're refusing planned obsolescence. You're opting out of the consumption treadmill. You're saying no to corporations who think they own the things you paid for. You're reclaiming power. And maybe, just maybe, you're remembering something important. That things used to be built to last. That repair used to be normal. That pride used to come from making things work, not from buying new things. That there was dignity in maintenance, satisfaction in solving problems with your hands instead of your credit card. Your grandmother could fix a toaster with a butter knife and a prayer, not because she was smarter than you, not because things were simpler, because she lived in a world that valued durability over novelty, because she understood that objects have lives, that maintenance is relationship, that throwing things away is a luxury that comes with hidden costs. You can learn what she knew. The tools exist. The knowledge exists. YouTube will teach you. Online forums will help you. The only question is whether you're willing to step off the treadmill long enough to remember what it feels like to truly own something, to make it last, to make it yours. The system is built on your compliance, your exhaustion, your belief that you're powerless, but you're not. Every repair is a small revolution. Every fixed object is territory reclaimed. Every item that lasts another year is a middle finger to the men who planned its obsolescence in a boardroom 100 years ago. They decided that profit mattered more than durability, more than sustainability, more than your dignity as a human being. They made that choice. Now you get to make yours. You can make it last forever, or you can keep running until you drop. The toaster is on the counter. The butter knife is in the drawer. What are you going to do?